Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. Liftoff.
What is up, guys? Hunter Klein here, bringing you this week's episode of Interplanetary Monkeys. Y'all know the deal. Episode number 71? 71, I believe. Things are going good. Some big things coming in my personal life. All right, it is official. We are moving to Austin, Texas. Another place that I would like to check off in regards to what if we move to Austin. It's a similar transition, a similar leap to when we initially went to Arizona. Of course, I wasn't recording in the time that I did take that leap to Arizona, but it feels as if we are replicating that experience. All right. So why am I going down to Austin? I got a job as a speed and strength coach at D1 Training in Cedar Park. Now, in regards to locations that I would like to move to, at the top of my list, Austin, Texas is there at the top. All right. The only place that I would rather move to would probably be back to Arizona. But again, that's all comfort speaking, most likely. We're getting a new experience. We're jumping into a new location where we know no one, taking a leap, getting outside our comfort zone. And that alone just makes it a very stimulating and exciting experience. Again, it's that what if. It's that crossing off that box later in life, being able to say, we lived in Austin for a while. We lived in Arizona for a while. We tried it. We loved it. We tried out Austin. Who knows what the experience is going to be like? But I suspect that it'll be very joyous. Now, again, I'm going to be a speed and strength coach, primarily working with athletes on exactly that, speed and strength. Now, luckily, I have a background in baseball. And like we talked about a couple weeks ago, these experiences, the application process, it's always very unique, odd things that end up getting you a job generally. Right? It doesn't necessarily come down to are you good enough or are you not. It comes down to a couple nitpicky things that someone sees on a resume and decides, you know what, I really like that, or we need that. In this case, that was baseball. Right? The fact that I played collegiate baseball was very attractive to D1 training because they do not have a baseball specialist at this D1 training facility in Cedar Park. So, playing collegiate baseball got me an amazing job, and here we are. So, I'm going to be working with primarily baseball athletes, but all kinds of athletes, trying to level them up, pretty much trying to turn them into baseball launchers, whether that be from the bat or the hand. And I'm very excited to get into this, the practice of optimizing humans for performance. All right. What kind of movements are baseball players making? What kind of muscles are the primary movers of those movements? And how do we maximize the power in those athletes? While we're on the topic, it might be worth to compare the ideas of strength and power. Okay, now strength is the sheer force one can move. It's generally associated with being slow. Okay, strength is generally slow. You take 300 pounds, try to bench press it, you're barely getting it up. Slowly but surely, you're getting that up, and boom, you lock out. It's not necessarily fast, it doesn't need to be. It's about the amount. Now, compared to power, power is the speed at which you move a weight. Okay. Power is taking a 150-pound dumbbell bench press and getting up as fast as possible, forcing it up. Now, you can see how baseball would primarily be a power sport, right? It's not about how heavy of a bat you can swing, it's about how fast you can swing that bat. Okay. It's not about how heavy of a ball you can throw, it's about how fast you can move that ball. So, how do we use this information in the sport? We primarily train for power with muscles that are primary movers that are relevant to the sport. Baseball mainly being upper back and all legs, right? Although It seems as if a baseball player, all the strength would need to be in their arm. Wow, they got a strong arm. Or would need to be in their upper body for that swing. It is actually the prime mover in a lot of baseball movements is the lower body, creating that torque, getting those hips to move, and in actually driving through the ball. So that's essentially what we're doing. That's a little baseline. And if you guys want more information, more in depth, come down to Cedar Park and we can work if you're a baseball player that is interested. But again, guys, the idea of moving here creates a very interesting paradox for me. Okay. I'm very nervous. It's a very intimidating and slightly scary experience. I'll be honest with you. But it's almost as if, it replicates the experience of watching a scary movie. Right? It scares the shit out of you, and that night after you watch, you're watching your back and keeping the lights on a little extra long. But you keep going back. If you're a fan of scary movies, you like that little edge, that little tickle on the back of the neck that you get. And I think that is what I enjoy so much about these moves, about these leaps. This isn't the first time I've moved to an unknown location with no connections whatsoever, no friends, no family. And I don't think it'll be the last. Because this idea of putting myself on an island, especially after seeing the wide range of benefits that come on the personal level from moving to Arizona, I can't deny how beautiful the experience is. All right. Getting to start anew. I've talked about it before and I'll talk about it again. The ability to create yourself again. Right? Not in a fake way, but more in a, okay, what are my new values? Who am I? What about myself do I want to change? How do I want to portray myself to this new group of individuals, this new community, this new group of individuals? I think there's a lot of beauty in that. A lot of beauty in that. As rough as it might be, being on your own or those lonely nights where you are probably struggling a little bit. And that will happen. Undoubtedly, that will happen. I will get bored as shit some weekends with nothing to do. Now, it'll take time. I'm going to be working a little harder on building a community here in Austin because I didn't do that very well in Arizona. And I don't have the same excuses I did. Right? A lot of my excuses and a lot of, I'm sure, a lot of people's excuses from when moving to a new location and not being social to justify their introvertedness is that, I'm working or I have other goals I'm working to, or I don't have time. All right. Even though I will be busy, I will have time. Undoubtedly. I will have time. And we're going to work on it. It's going to be a big focus of the project, a big focus of the move, and a big focus of the journey. Because that's something we really, really missed out on while we were in Arizona. And we did suffer from it. Absolutely. We did suffer from it. But the move overall, to put a cap on this, it feels as if we're flipping stones over. If I had to sum up the experience right now, it's official. We've gotten the apartment locked in. Got to get utilities, internet, everything up. And we're moving down in around 20 days, give or take. Around 18 days, to be honest. But it feels as if we're flipping stones over. We're crossing off some what ifs, if you will. And I think that's the ultimate goal. What if we moved to Austin? It's a booming city right now. What if I really enjoyed that place? We'll never know until we try. And that's really what I'm doing right now. And I don't have any repercussions for this. I don't have any people relying on me. I don't have any pets, any children, a girlfriend that have to sacrifice things to move with me. I'm a lone wolf, able to take leaps like this because I'm very early in adulthood, and I'm taking full advantage of it. Now, it's hard to suggest to people or suggest to you guys that you should do the same because it is a lot. It is a leap, and it is rough. But I would heavily suggest, if the opportunity ever presents itself, go for it. If you're ever applying for jobs, apply for some out of state. Apply for some crazy ass jobs in Florida, Texas, Washington, New York, wherever you're thinking, maybe I'd like that place. At the very least, apply for jobs. After that first job application, jobs are easy as hell to apply for. Just create a Google Drive of a cover letter template that you can just replace titles, addresses, key phrases, job titles, and shoot them out. After my first 2-3 applications, I was literally just a machine of applications. Maybe some lacked the personal the personal touch that I needed to get the position. But you got to put more tickets in the bucket, right? You got to put more lottery tickets in the bucket of luck, of choice that may get you a job. So I suggest trying. It's not like applying for a position means that you are committing to a job in New York, but it means that the option's on the table. And while most of you probably won't take the leap, most people don't, and that's not negative. There's no right or wrong. It's at least cool to have that option. It's at least cool to have that option, and I definitely suggest exploring these types of things because, again, the immense amount of benefit that comes from going on your own, as hard as it might be, as comfortable as you are with your friend group, your family, right down the road, the local bar that you like. There are there's so much out there, not only as far as living standards, environments, climates, weather that you might enjoy, but personal growth in the unknown and leaps that one can take. All right. As far as the podcast, guys, things have been interesting. Things have been interesting. Nothing's really changed, right? We're staying true to ourselves and the theme of the pod, but on the spectrum of branding. Last week, or a couple weeks ago, I believe, within the last month, guys, I'm not really sure. This all melts together. We talked about social media strategies. How do you grow anything? And in the meanwhile, we're trying to grow the podcast in the world of social media, in the world of hundreds of thousands of creators. And this attention hacking method that I'm using on YouTube, while it's mild and doesn't really have that much of an influence on the podcast content whatsoever, it sucks. I don't like it. I don't know if there's something wrong with me, if it's not true to my person, if I haven't come around to the idea, if I'm not looking at it right, but I don't like it. I guess we have to do it, but these YouTube titles that I'm creating, it feels like shit. It feels dishonest. It's what you have to do to grow for the most part, but it feels like shit. I'm not a big fan of it. So the question becomes, are we cut out for your standard online entertainer growth strategies? It would appear not. But we are going to stick with it for a while because we have to try, and it's a what if. We have to cross off, right? But as soon as we're able to get away from it, we will. Okay. Of course, there are other ways to grow, but this is the tried and true method that we really at least have to apply. It's just the attention hacking methods of posting videos. It just doesn't feel right for me. In a perfect world, I would just be able to throw up YouTube videos and clip things and use your standard YouTube titles. And hopefully at some point we get to that. But right now, that just doesn't do much for us. Right? Because we don't really have a lot. We do have IP listeners that do watch the clips, but not really. Generally, if people are coming to IP to tune in, IPM to tune in, they're just watching the full episodes. All right, so it's strictly a growth mechanism. We're trying it, but goddamn, guys, does it not feel good? It's just an interesting space to walk into. This week, Bryce Hall was trending on Twitter, and he's trending on Twitter for a fight that's coming up. And as a result, I kind of looked into Bryce Hall a little bit. Curious about this guy. TikTok star, 20 million followers. What the hell did he do? Was it right place, right time? Did he use some specific type of strategy to grow? And it looks as if it was right place, right time. A lot of these kids, Bryce Hall and many others, started social media early and strictly went into it as a growth hack mechanism, right? With the idea of growing in mind, with the idea of fitting a certain trend, growing and becoming popular. And this is how a lot of these kids are making it happen. So Bryce Hall specifically started, I'm not exactly sure what the app he started on, but he eventually found himself on Musical.ly, which is a very niche group of videos of people creating short videos, which eventually turned into TikTok and absolutely boomed. Okay, now obviously being in Musical.ly early and being in the early stages of TikTok almost guarantees growth. But for Bryce, the idea of becoming a social media star started when he at the age of 14, which is so interesting to think because when I was growing up, I grew up in a small town, and social media was not a platform to get famous on. It was a cool place to have fun and post and talk with friends. At 14, I wasn't even thinking about the potential of growth or becoming popular on social media. So I wonder if the environment in which I grew up in hindered me a little bit. Were kids at larger schools in bigger cities more in tune with the fact that you could get famous off social media? Does it even really matter to me? Probably not. Because again, the type of content that one has to post on social media to grow, to attention hack, to get people to click, kind of bothers the shit out of me. And again, I don't know if that's a personal issue or if that's just me being true to myself, right? Social media influencers that post, that show off their body. Nothing wrong with that. I just can't do it, right? Posting six-pack pictures and motivational speeches and 5 keys to growth hacking, how to lose weight. Like, I just can't do this, guys. I just can't do this. It doesn't feel right. That's not who I am. Maybe one day we'll come around, we'll find our niche in the social media space, but right now we don't know what it is. That's why I've stepped away from Instagram. I just don't know what to post. I don't know what to post. I don't know what feels right. Because my past content, the past way I've used social media platforms just bothers the hell out of me. And rather than be uncertain, post, and cringe at myself, I'd rather step away. Who really cares? Right now, I just don't feel like I have a lot to offer the world on the social media platform, and I just need to work on myself a little bit. So we keep creating content. We keep posting podcast episodes and keep putting tickets in the bucket. All right. And hopefully 5, 10, 15, maybe 2, maybe 1 years down the road, we get picked out and get a little lucky with someone we run into, an opportunity we get, so on and so forth. I think it's important to fall back on the main ideas of why we talk about this stuff. Right? I'm not just aimlessly ranting about TikTok people, or I'm not just like overthinking the podcast, the process of social media posting for the podcast. Okay. The question is, why is Hunter always talking about growing his podcast? Is this not enough for him? Why does he need more? Why am I always searching for more? Everything is enough on its own, guys, but the whole reason for all these discussions, for this introverted talk, for the last couple podcasts being dominated by strategies and techniques in how we grow, whatever endeavor you may be on, is that because my definition of success is monetizing passions. Okay, that is all I want in my life. I want a life where I make money from seamlessly transitioning between activities I would be doing regardless if I was working or making income from it. That is my ultimate goal. If I can get to that, I will be happy. That is a successful life for me. Now, what are these passions? Obviously, the podcast, sharing opinions, learning and building a community. That's what we're attempting to do here. Right now, it's not monetized. Right now, it's just a hobby. But in order to turn this to a passion, or in order to monetize this, to make this an activity where I can do that I enjoy but still get paid, you have to grow. You have to grow. And unfortunately, if you just sit back and record, like we talked about many weeks ago, you don't grow. And that's just 2021 for you. You can't just turn on the Twitch stream or start recording YouTube videos and get growth. There's too many people out there. You need a lucky break. And in order to get a lucky break, you have to increase the amount of tickets you have in the bucket, the amount of lottery tickets you submit to be chosen. Second is personal health and fitness. Obviously, we're trying to do that here with my career. Okay. Of course, right now it's a little corporate. And if we could start transitioning to something more individual, something more independent, I would absolutely love to. But in order to become an independent fitness person, a speed and strength coach, you need to build a background, build a resume. People can trust you. You need to build clout. All right. So that's the goal again. Hopefully we put in enough effort, work hard enough, and we catch a lucky break somewhere along the road, and so on. And what else do I like doing? What else do you like doing? I think this is the real question here. How do I make money off of what I love? What else do I like doing? I like gaming. How do people make money off gaming? They stream. Do I really want to start a Twitch stream right now? No. But if I were to get a more increased following for the podcast or for personal health and fitness, maybe I could start a stream where I talk about fitness and health while game on the side. All right. So these are all things I'm constantly thinking about because it is the ultimate goal of my life. Monetizing passions. How do I turn my life into a seamless transition day to day from things I love doing and somehow make income from it? I don't think it's too far of a reach, but it is a lot of work. And we've been working on it for a good 3-4 years now, unfortunately with little luck. But I have faith that things will pay off, and I hope that one day the hard work does pay off because I think it'll be very much worth it. You know, one of the most interesting things about passion, motivation, all this this floaty stuff is that one phrase always comes back, and that is, I heard a motivational speaker talk on a YouTube video I was watching when I was lifting one time, and he says, what is passion? What is hard work? What is real motivation? It is putting all of yourself into something, knowing very well that it may never pay off. And I think that is pretty much the pillar of what the last 3-4 months of this podcast have been, right? We put in so much effort into school, so much effort into school. And to be honest with you, it didn't really pay off. Okay. I didn't really get the crazy ass job offers I was expecting right out of my master's program, even though my GPA was stellar, even though I had all the internships and I did cancer research and I did all this crazy shit. It didn't really matter. Now, do I regret the hard work? No. But during that process, I really didn't keep in mind that it may not pay off. And that was really a crushing moment for me. That was a life just fucking smacking me in the jaw. And that week, I was a little bummed out. The process of searching for jobs really did crush me. Now, luckily, we got this opportunity, but nonetheless, it was a rough time. Again, you need to put yourself into something knowing very well that it may not pay off. The podcast, we know this all too well. Right? We've been doing this bad boy for 71 weeks, and while we have grown a little bit, there's still no income. Is that okay? Absolutely. But it's a grind. It's a grind. Okay, and we're gonna be doing this for a while just because it is enjoyable. All right, so on and so forth. Now, here is where fitness and health comes into the picture, and why it is a huge pillar of my life. So much of the stuff you do in life day to day, so much of the hard work I put in, so much of the blood, sweat, and tears, time, motivation, grind, goosebumps I put into my passions doesn't guarantee you results. The most beautiful thing about fitness is that what you put in, you get out. There's no, well, I don't really lose calories like the rest of people. Well, I hold on to fat a little more, or I don't build muscle like other humans. No. Wrong excuses. Human physiology, biochemistry does not change. You put in the work, you get the results out. It's one of the few things in my life, few activities in my life where I am not counting on a lucky break to transform myself. I'm not counting in a lucky break to be successful. And what is successful in fitness to me? Consistency. I have no goal. I still look in the mirror and I'm not really that happy with where we're at, which I'm happy about. All right. It's not like it's negative or it's unhealthy. I just don't really get satisfied. I think we're fairly healthy, but I have a long way to go. And I know that every hour, 2 hours of work I put in daily is paying off, and I'm seeing it visually. And that's the most important part is I'm getting visual feedback week to week. I'm seeing my body grow. I'm seeing my pants seemingly shrink on my legs. I'm seeing my chest fill out, and it's a beautiful experience. And it is important to know that it's for nobody but myself. I'm not in a relationship. I haven't even thought about the idea of going on a date in months. Haven't been connected with a female for years. This isn't for mate choice. This isn't so I can walk around the streets with my chest puffed out feeling better about myself. This is so I can look in the mirror and say, we are working our ass off and this is what we get for it. Just the pure idea that we're getting better day to day. Because a lot of things in life, again, you don't get that instant feedback. And for me specifically, I have my hand in a lot of buckets that are not promising me anything. So having that pillar, that staple, that constant feedback of this shit's paying off is fantastic. My body is a portrayment of what I feel I am. Right? Finally, for one of the first times in my life when I look in the mirror, what I see replicates how I feel about myself. And I do feel confident. I do feel like I have potential to achieve great things. I do feel great in itself. And finally, my body seems to be aligning with my mind, and it's only the beginning, guys. So that's why it's so beautiful. Other than that, guys, I'm not really sure how I feel about everything. Okay. I think it would be important to note that I'm questioning a lot of things in my life right now, including the podcast. Now, are we ever going to quit the podcast? No, absolutely not. We will still always continue sharing opinions and bringing people together online in the virtual realm for all of eternity. Now, is the podcast always going to stay the same? I'm not sure. Is the podcast name ever going to change? Is it ever going to be rebranded? I am not sure. I'm at a really big point in my life where things are getting a little more serious. And I'm not just going to school anymore. I am moving to Austin. I am starting my career. What is best for my career? What is best for a future family? And I need to be constantly questioning, is what I'm doing worth my time? Okay. Now, again, this sounds like, that I'm going to be stepping away from the podcast. It's not, but I will say, to be completely honest with everyone, that it is something that I ask myself every week. And I think this is important no matter what creative endeavor you spend hours and hours of time on. Is it worth my time? Okay. Questions this week. Would it be more valuable for me to start a health and fitness podcast? Something that could grow in line with my career? I don't know. Is it possible for us to create another podcast? IP Monkeys is pretty solidified. It's second nature for me to open up the software or Sunday morning and record. Would it be possible for me to pick up another podcast? I don't know. Okay, but I want to make sure that my day-to-day is optimized and that I'm giving myself the best chance to optimize my passions. Now, is IP Monkeys doing that right now? This is the golden question. I don't know. You can really carry this over to your own life. Are there things that you're involved in that are worth the time? I am not sure. And that's the golden question. And I'm constantly asking myself that. I don't think we're anywhere close to actually giving up on the podcast. I would like to at least go 4 or 5 years on this before we actually can even seriously consider changing the at least format or timing or like the structure we have. But we are questioning it, and I think it's important. Constantly questioning yourself, constantly making sure you're on path for whatever your goals may be, and constantly making sure you're making the right decisions. I think that's a difficult thing. So right now we have a lot of questions. There's a lot of unknowns. We're about to dive into Austin without any idea what the fuck's going on. But I will say this. Something that's very exciting about this move is that my new setup will be legit. It looks as if we're going to spend a little more time on the backdrop for the podcast, the setup, the aesthetic of my room, my apartment. I'm excited, like we talked about last week, to have a little homier place. And as a result, I think the podcast will be a little homier in a way as well. Right? A little more professional, a little more sleek. So we can kind of upgrade ourselves and get out of grandma's room. All right. That's what it looks like we're in anyway right now. All right. All righty, guys. If you're on a low grind through, if you're on a high, enjoy it. That's it for this week's episode of Interplanetary Monkeys. This is Hunter Klein, and you bet you're ready. You'll hear from me next week. Peace, peace.